Welcome to this explainer. Today we're looking way past the surface level of daily business operations to uncover the hidden structural dynamics that actually dictate your profitability and ultimately your survival. It's super easy to get distracted by day-to-day tactical moves, but the real game of business is won or lost deep in the structural trenches.
Okay, let's just dive right into this with a critical question that totally challenges how most managers narrowly define competition today. Ask yourself right now, is your biggest threat really the company across the street, or is it the fundamental structure of your industry? As we're about to see, the competition for your profits goes far, far beyond just your established industry rivals.
To figure that out, here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the 5 forces battlefield, move into decoding competitive rivalry, look at what drives intense rivalry, check out the weapons of competition, and wrap up with how to survive the rivalry.
All right, part 1, the 5 forces battlefield.
I want you to imagine your industry as a literal battlefield. You aren't just fighting a single enemy. In Michael Porter's famous framework, you are actually being shaped by 4 external pressures, all pushing hard towards a central hub. You've got the threat of new entrants dropping in from the top, substitute products creeping up from the bottom, suppliers squeezing your margins from the left, and customers demanding more from the right. It is a constant multi-front war.
So the big takeaway here is that profitability isn't just about having a great product. It's about how well you navigate this entire ecosystem. The collective strength of these 5 forces literally caps your profit potential. If all 5 forces are strong, well, you're looking at a deeply hostile market where even brilliant companies are going to struggle to survive.
Which brings us right to part 2, decoding competitive rivalry.
While those other forces are pressing in from the outside, competitive rivalry is that dangerous gear spinning right in the middle of it all. It represents the direct combat, the ongoing relentless struggle between established companies to steal market share from one another. Basically, this is your daily warfare.
And it is incredibly traumatic. The famous Austrian economist Joseph Schumpeter really didn't mince words here. He called it a perennial gale of creative destruction. I mean, that sounds like the tagline for a disaster movie, right? But it just means constant turmoil. In business, your competitive landscape is never, ever static.
Moving to part 3, what drives intense rivalry?
Why do some industries peacefully coexist while others fight to the bitter end over pennies? Well, the intensity dials way up based on structural conditions. Imagine a scenario where you have equally matched competitors in a slow-growing market. You're pretty much forced to steal market share just to survive. Add in high fixed costs, unsold inventory, and identical products, and companies will desperately slash prices just to keep the lights on. It becomes a trap, especially when high exit barriers mean that sick, failing companies refuse to die, and they constantly drag the healthy businesses down with them.
To put this into perspective, just look at the contrast between generic retail and high-end fashion. Generic retail, think Walmart versus Target, faces incredibly intense rivalry and constant price wars because, frankly, they offer similar products to similar buyers. But high-end fashion houses like Chanel and Versace, their absolute brand differentiation acts as a massive shield. It protects their profit margins and makes those petty price wars totally unnecessary.
Okay, let's look at part 4, the weapons of competition.
When structural drivers force an intense rivalry, companies have to reach for their strategic weapons. A company might aggressively discount prices, literally cutting below cost just to starve out a rival, or they might deploy massive advertising campaigns to inflate perceived value. They might churn out new products to stand out, or heavily invest in customer service to build this moat of loyalty that makes it too painful for buyers to ever leave.
But here's the catch. Deploying this arsenal comes at a steep price. Frequent weapon use creates a massive pressure cooker, squeezing the profitability of the entire industry. When healthy competitors are dragged into prolonged wars, it lowers prices and raises costs for everyone. It's basically a race to the bottom that might thrill the consumer, but absolutely destroys industry margins.
So, how do we get through this? Part 5, surviving the rivalry.
Let's look at a real-world example of mastering this. Take Walmart's strategy during the COVID-19 pandemic. They transitioned from rapid health precautions to aggressive supply chain fortification. While others were completely paralyzed, Walmart used its massive internal resources to counter environmental turbulence. In January 2020, they immediately enacted CDC guidelines. By March, they actively strengthened their supply chains against those massive shocks we all remember. Because of this strategic alignment, by April, their grocery app hit record downloads. The ultimate result? By May 2021, they achieved a stunning 26.8% increase in operating income. They didn't just compete on price, you see. They competed on rapid operational resilience. The payoff for moving faster than the environment? A staggering 460% growth in average daily app downloads by April 2020 compared to the start of the year. 460%. While others panicked, Walmart won the rivalry in real time.
So, I want to leave you with this final thought to evaluate your own competitive landscape. Are your strengths merely fitting the opportunities of yesterday, or are you actually positioned to win the rivalry of tomorrow? Stop just reacting to the company across the street and start analyzing the structural forces that are actually shaping your battlefield. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Now go out there and conquer your 5 forces.